Thank you for joining us for our online video series, Technical SEO for the Non-Techie. We're going to talk about technical SEO, and while this subject can get really technical really fast, our mission is to keep the content we're sharing suitable for a non-technical audience. We're going to start by talking about what technical SEO is and the process, as well as the top 5 technical SEO areas that you need to worry about and monitor on a regular basis, including speed, uptime, errors, your XML sitemap, and HTML tags. Let's get started by defining what we mean by technical SEO. Simply put, technical SEO, or tech SEO, is the process of making your site findable, crawlable, and understandable to search engine robots. You have 2 audiences you're serving with your website, humans and robots. Okay, not this kind of robot, but you get the idea. One group of robot visitors you want to pay special attention to are the spiders that search engines like Google and Bing send out to crawl the web. In the past, the things that you had to do to support robot visitors differed from what you had to do to support human visitors. This has changed in the last few years, and now many of the technical aspects of SEO support robot and human visitors alike. We're going to talk about the technical SEO process so that you have a high-level understanding of how to think about the technical aspects of SEO, including how those technical areas overlap with other aspects of your web marketing efforts. To be clear, we're not going to cover every aspect of tech SEO. There are so many pieces to this, we could spend several full days discussing tech SEO without covering every topic. So instead, our goal is to leave you with a solid baseline of how you need to think about technical SEO matters as a non-programmer. From this video series, you'll have an idea of how to check the most critical issues on your site and how to have more informed conversations with your development team. There are 3 important questions to ask yourself when you're working to address technical SEO, starting with what makes the content on your site findable? Content on your website becomes findable when you communicate about the pages on your site to Google, Bing, other search engines, and websites. One easy way to make your pages findable is by having natural, earned links pointing to your content throughout your website and from other websites. Another way of communicating your pages to Google or Bing is by creating an XML sitemap. We'll talk more about this later in this video series. Another way you can communicate your site to Google and Bing is through RSS feeds. And finally, another example is posting items on social media. Though social media sites like Facebook or Twitter don't necessarily have a direct effect on Google finding your website pages. The second question you want to ask is, what makes your website crawlable or accessible to search engine robots? Search engine robots crawl through the web. For every link they find, they attempt to access the page so that they can review the information contained on that page. There are 2 requirements for crawlability. 1, that the links to the page can be followed, and 2, that the page itself can be indexed after the search engine robot has found the page. To support crawlability, it's important to make sure that your website's content can be indexed by Google and Bing, and also important to make sure that all the links referencing your content can be followed without restrictions. For instance, you should have multiple text links to the various pages of content on your site, and use basic links that don't have any restrictions like a nofollow command. To be clear, the links should also be relevant and be placed in a way that makes sense. You should keep as much of your website text or copy. While Google is making strides at indexing alternative forms of content like content in Flash or in technologies like Ajax, keeping your website's content and navigation in text makes it easier for Google to crawl your site. For instance, a lot of websites still use images for their navigation elements, and those navigation elements are basically hidden from Google's view. Another upside is that keeping your content and navigation in text also makes it easier for people to access your website. This is especially true for users with disabilities, and a further example that good technical SEO is about helping bots and people have better interactions with your website. For places that you absolutely can't have text, like a video or graphics, you want to provide alternative text, like adding text descriptions for your images. This is also referred to as alt text or alternative text. If you post a video, also post a transcription for robots to understand what that video was about. Posting a transcript for a video and alt text on images also helps human visitors who can't see the image or watch the video to understand context. As well, keep your website error-free. Errors get in the way and prevent the robots from finding the pages on your website. We'll talk more about errors in the 4th video in this series. Finally, it's important that you don't block robots from accessing your website. An easy way to test to make sure that your website isn't being blocked is to use free tools provided by Google and Google Search Console and by Bing and Bing Webmaster Tools. To check this, log into Google Search Console, which we talked about in the last video series, and in the left sidebar, click on Crawl, and then click on Fetch as Google, and put a URL in, and then click Fetch. If Google is unable to fetch a page, then you have a problem you need to look into. It could be you accidentally blocked this page, but hopefully what you see is a green check mark saying Google was able to fetch this page. Bing offers a similar tool. When you log into Bing Webmaster Tools, go to the left sidebar, click on Diagnostics and Tools, and in the submenu, click Fetch as BingBot. Bing will return results indicating if they successfully crawl this page. The third question to ask is if the robots can understand your page. Google and Bing read your website much like humans do. In the past, this was different, but now robots are remarkably good at understanding the topic of your page, similar to, or in some cases, better than a human visitor. There are some advanced topics here we're not going to cover, like structured data or parameter control. Ultimately, making your content understandable comes down to some basics, like for starters, you want to make sure your content is presented using the most accurate tag. We'll talk more about the importance of the title and meta description tags later in this video series, but this is true for other tags as well. For example, you want to make sure that your header text is located in a header tag and that your regular page text isn't a header tag. The more accurate your HTML code, the easier it is for Google to understand your content. We don't expect you to know HTML, but you do want to have your developer confirm that tags are used appropriately. One of the basics of SEO is keyword optimization. You want to use relevant words and phrases in your content. Technically, you want to make sure those words are used where people will see the words. For example, placing those words in the right tags on the site and also placing the keywords in the URLs of your website. This helps robots and humans understand that they are on the right page of your website. One other way to ensure understandability is to avoid duplication. Make sure that you create pages on your site that each page has a unique purpose. This is great for simplifying your website and ensuring robots clearly understand the value of each page. The more value seen for each page, the easier it will be for Google to know where to rank that page. Human visitors will also have an easier time understanding your website as they navigate through it. As a side note, it used to be that you had to create multiple, potentially duplicate pages for different keywords. For example, if I want my website to rank for daycare or preschool, I would have to create a page about daycare and a page about preschool. The good news is that robots now think a lot more like humans and see these terms as part of the same topic. So in building out your pages, focus on topics more than a specific keyword. In that example, you can have one page about daycare and preschool. Google will understand that they are related to the same topic. That way you don't have to create duplicate content on your site. Now, hopefully that gives you a good baseline of information about what technical SEO is. Now, please join us in the next video where we'll talk more specifically about the 5 big areas you need to focus on related to technical SEO, starting with how to test and monitor your website speed.